Welcome to the Craft Desk, everyone. If you're new, my name is Vanessa. On today's DIY video, we're going to make these super cool and modern and chic geode frames using items from the Dollar Tree. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook where I post super quick and easy DIYs, and subscribe to my YouTube channel where I post new videos every week. Now let's get crafting. So for this project, I'm taking 3 of these wooden framed pictures from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove the gather sign, and I'm going to use the Rust-Oleum chalk paint in white to cover them completely with the paint. I think you can see in the top corner that I already have my geodes already made. I had made those way before I thought of doing this project, and I didn't completely record that process, but I do have a little bit of how I make most of the geodes using clay, and I'll show you that later on in the video. So let's continue with removing these signs and painting these wooden frames. So I've given the picture frames one coat. I'm going to let this completely dry before I give it a second coat to fully cover these. In the meantime, let's start working on the geodes. So to make the geodes for this frame, I'm going to use the Sculpey polymer clay. It's the baking clay. This is the one that you have to put in the oven once you have done the shapes or the molds that you want. Usually bake it for 20 minutes. If you do bake it for more than 20 minutes, the clay will burn and you will get some yellowing on the clay. So what I like to do is usually I just buy white. This way I can use my acrylic paints and paint it the way I want it to look. I usually break apart little pieces and I start to mold them to make them pliable. And I use one of my rollers to try and spread it out as thin as possible. At least about maybe ½ inch, because if it's too thin, it will burn or the clay itself will break apart while you're working with it. So I'm going to try to achieve some sort of geode shape. I usually eyeball it. I don't have any exact measurements or any exact way of doing it. I just basically eyeball it. We know what geodes look like. We know what their shapes are. So I try to do as best as I can with that. So let's continue with this process. now that I am done with the shapes that I want, I'm going to put it in my baking tray, which is a tray that I use only for clay. Do not use it for cooking. You don't want your food to touch these trays that have been used for clay. I'm going to bake them for 20 minutes. Now, as I said earlier in the video, I don't have the part where I paint them because I forgot to record that, but I will show you in the next clip sort of how the painting process goes. So this is one of the pieces I'm going to be using on this project. Now, I have no exact painting technique. I just take my acrylic paints that you can get at Michael's, and I just start painting in circular patterns until I get the look I'm going for. I also use a metallic gold pen to add the edges around it, and I also use glitter. So the thicker glitter, I use it in the middle to give it a little shine, and the gold metallic pen I use to make lines. Now, it looks so shiny because I use the special Mod Podge, which is that three-dimensional Mod Podge, which gives it a fantastic glass-like coat. So hopefully that explains it a bit, since I did not record how I painted them, but I hope you got the idea. So now we're getting ready to put everything together. I have already given the picture frames a second coat of the chalk paint, and I let that dry. Now what I'm setting up is I'm using the Dollar Tree, I guess the Jenga blocks or the wooden toy game, and I'm going to make basically a little stand that's where the geodes are going to be attached in order to give it that three-dimensional look, like they're floating inside the picture frame. So I'm taking 4 per picture frame, and I'm just basically hot gluing them to each other, and then we're going to hot glue them to the frame. And on that is where we are going to hot glue the geodes. And since the clay has already been baked, the hot glue will cause no damage to the clay. So therefore it's safe to use, and it will attach it to the wood, and it'll give it a nice hold. So let's attach the first set of the Jenga blocks and continue with the rest. Now that I attach the geodes, I'm going to use my gold leafing pen. That is the same pen that I use on the geodes to do the trims and to add a little highlight to it. So I'm going to take the gold leafing pen and I'm going to go around the edges of each frame to give it a little pop of color so it doesn't look too blah. And this way it'll give it a little matching look to the geodes. So let's do that to the rest of the frames. I really love the way this project turned out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell to get notified when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. See you all on my next DIY.